And hello, everybody, once again, and welcome to Breaking Ponies, where we still don't have a tagline.
I think that should be our tagline. Just as we were starting
Welcome to Breaking
recording, I
Ponies,
just
where we
thought,
still don't have a tagline.
yeah, there is no. What tagline could we have? Breaking ponies. I mean, really.
I have no idea. It's such a stupid idea.
It is, but hopefully people will enjoy it.
Yeah, maybe that's why people like it. Stupider ideas have gone further.
Oh yeah, look at the pet rock. Or the flying fuck. Anyway,
I don't think I ever gave one of those.
or the gift of nothing. That's a very stupid idea. Anyway, yes, we're back with another episode. We're on to the next one. Ponies are up first, as usual.
Yep.
So,
So we got episode 11, Winter Wrap Up, which you have said is one of your favorite.
yeah, it's kind of I like the episode in general. It's mostly the song that I like.
Yeah,
The song I find is very catchy. It's one of those songs that if you're on like a forum or a message board and someone types the first line of this song,
everybody will
then
start to.
well, you pretty much have to call that particular thread off because the next 10,000 posts will be people trying to type the next line after each one after
And then
that.
each person tries to get the one before it, and it keeps like going backward.
Something like that, and it just keeps going around in circles. So that's fun.
Yeah, I
Uh,
liked the song. I could imagine them playing it on something like Radio Disney. I haven't listened to
uh,
Radio Disney in like 20 years, but I mean they used to even play the Pokemon theme song, so this would fit in very well.
yeah, I don't think, a lot of the some of the songs in Ponies are kind of incidental. This one's a bit sort of more grand. It's got a
It's yeah,
lot of
it actually has like the length to be pretty much a full song.
it is a full song. It's not just Pinky deciding to start singing randomly
So,
for 30
which comes
seconds.
the later, which she does a
Yeah, which
lot. I've noticed. I'm guessing that's kind of her thing.
well, yeah, but Pinky's sort of the excitable one, and she does sing a lot.
Okay, so apparently the premise of this episode is okay. This is where they immediately lost me. Twilight Sparkle is excited to clean up.
I
This is
think
like
it's
a
the idea.
kid being excited for spring cleaning. It's like your mother is like, I got a special treat for everybody today. We're gonna clean the whole house from top to bottom.
Yay.
Yeah.
It is a strange thing. I think it's not so much the excitement about the cleaning. I think it's more so over the fact that it's the first time she's doing winter wrap up in Ponyville as opposed to Canterlot.
Right.
So, of course, she's excited to see how differently it's doing and to see how she can get on without magic.
And I guess
Which,
she's more excited for the fact that it's sort of a tradition. It's just sort of
yeah,
something that because it's not just winter cleanup. It's the first day of spring, which I know there are a lot of people that get excited about.
yeah, well, it was the first day of spring last week, wasn't it?
I
We had
yeah,
the
so yeah, I guess it
eclipse.
does kind of even out here. So
But
but apparently in Ponyville they don't use magic. They have to do it all by hand or by hoof. They have to do it manually,
yeah,
which
which
is
again, I say it's a strange thing that in this world, seasons don't happen unless ponies make them happen.
yeah. It's so if they didn't clean it up, would the snow just have never melted? Does snow just not melt unless it actually?
I think it melts. I think they just have to, because there's so much of it, it would have taken a long time, like it does in our world,
Yes,
for instance. And they
but
want to
they
clean it
just
all up
so
in
they have just
24
this
hours.
knife edge separation between winter and spring.
Yeah, literally. It's 24 hours. Get rid of winter. Let's bring spring in. Come on, we need to start growing food.
Well, the first thing that struck me is that they don't use magic. So a unicorn without magic is basically an earth, but a Pegasus without magic can still fly.
Yeah, because they use their wings to fly. And that's a natural part of their body.
Yeah, so it's like really the way that they do it without magic is just like screw unicorns.
Yeah, kind of.
So I wonder if that tradition was thought up just to piss off the unicorns in town.
Well, no, they do quite specifically
They
say that
say that it was founded by Earth Pony, so there's like yeah.
Ponyville was founded by Earth Ponies. So, long story short,
Yeah,
that
she's trying to find a way to help all the others, but she hasn't been assigned to a team to help clean anything up. So she's going around to all the other ponies to say, "Hey, can I help you do this? Can I help you do that?" And things obviously don't work out. She first wants to help Rainbow Dash, but obviously, no, that's not going to work. She doesn't have wings.
yeah,
You'd think with her magic she'd be able to levitate, but of course, no magic.
exactly.
So
So, yes.
she goes to help Rarity make birds' nests, and honestly, the bird's nest that she makes doesn't look that much worse than the nest an actual bird would make. So I
Yes,
don't
but
know
it's got
what
all
they're really
pretty
complaining. The
flowers.
birds in Equestria must be so spoiled.
I think most of the animals are spoiled. It's all happy and pretty and everything's all nice. Yeah, Rarity's in charge of making the bird nest. Of course, she takes ages obsessing over getting one absolutely perfect.
Which I mean, it looks almost too good. It's I don't even know if a bird would use that, but
Probably
they're
not.
spoiled, so they probably obviously would. That doesn't work out, so she goes to try help Pinkie Pie scouring the lakes, which I had never heard of this, but I imagine it actually does make a lot of sense because I mean, obviously like, where I don't get frozen lakes, so I mean scouring the lakes it does make a lot of sense that you'd have to scour it so the ice would break off into sheets instead of just kind of shattering or doing whatever it would do.
Mm,
But she
yeah.
doesn't know how to ice skate, so we get this great scene of her flailing around like a tard, and they end up making a snowman.
Yes, because they want to build a snowman.
Yes. Then of course Twilight's like, okay, bye.
Literally. On to the next one.
And through all this whole thing, Spike is still trying to find somewhere to sleep
Yeah, Spike
because
just wants to nap.
yeah. So when they go to meet Fluttershy, who's waking up all the animals that have been hibernating, he's like, "Oh, that's a great idea, hibernating." Which I would imagine dragons would do a lot, like they sleep for a couple hundred years or so.
Well, that dragon in the previous episode was supposed to be sleeping for 100 years, so yeah, probably when they get older and don't have as much youthful energy as Spike.
Or they don't have as much reason to stick around.
Yeah, true.
Because when you're like 100,000 years old, you don't have that much stake in anything.
True enough, and you've probably seen it all before, so you can
Mhm.
skip 100 years and you won't miss anything important.
Exactly.
Then after that,
They try to go around waking up the animals that have been in hibernation, and a lot of these animals, I don't even know if they do hibernate.
no, like the snakes. I don't think snakes hibernate.
Yeah, well, I believe
Skunks
they go
hibernate.
into torpor. Is it called torpor?
I don't know. Does the snakes even live in environments that hibernation is necessary? I mean,
Well,
most snakes
most
live in the desert.
reptiles, I believe the term is called torpor, where when it gets cold, they just kind of go into this, yeah, hibernative state until it warms up.
Mm,
Because I mean, they're cold blooded. That's what they do. They just kind of go into stasis of sorts.
mm.
So
But
I
yeah,
guess snakes do hibernate, but porcupines, I don't know about porcupines.
I would imagine porcupines do. I mean, they live in forests and stuff. So I don't know. You'd have to be an animal expert, and I don't know enough about animals to say one way or the other.
End result, she ends up trying to wake them all up. She gets scared by the snakes, which this is the first time we've been introduced to the fact that she doesn't like snakes. But
Mm.
she hangs around with Spike all the time, who is kind of like a snake.
Yeah, but he's a dragon. Dragons and snakes. I mean, firstly, dragons have multiple limbs, which
Or
kind of
even
makes it
I mean, even in this world, there the snakes don't seem all that mean or seem all that bad. They're just a bit miffed that they were woken up.
Well, I can understand that. I mean,
But
yeah, most of the animals are just sort of sluggish, they're lethargic, they're a bit grumpy because it's morning. And
we've never encountered anything really actively malicious that wasn't massive. Yeah, she doesn't like snakes for some reason, and so she runs away from the snakes and ends up in a skunk den.
Yeah,
So that's
fun.
always a lovely result. So they immediately went into the tomato sauce bath, which they never explain. I mean, I get it. I understand the connection, but I don't know if any kid watching this is going to immediately know that connection.
There's a connection.
Yeah, and supposedly tomato sauce will take out skunk stink.
I kind of figured that there was probably some sort of rumor or urban legend about that, but I didn't know for a fact.
That's what
Um,
I've heard from most sources is that it's a really because the acid in it and the chemicals will just dissolve that kind of smell.
Yeah,
Tomato sauce or tomato juice.
yeah, fair enough. You learn something every day. So yeah, she also gets stung by bees.
Yeah, so yeah, she gets stung by bees, which I have never liked bees, but I'm starting to wonder if that like traditional beehive shape actually is natural.
You can get beehives that look like that.
Yeah, you can like you buy them and you like apiists use those.
Mm.
But I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
think those
a
kind of
beehive can be
beehives
any shape,
form
really,
naturally and hang in trees and shit.
No, I think they can. It really depends on the type of bee and where it is and the environment it's in. Some bees will create their own hive. Some bees will
And
simply
oftentimes
just.
they'll build a hive in a tree, like in like a tree trunk or like a tree hollow.
Mm.
They won't actually like be hanging in the branches.
I mean,
I think that I'm pretty sure that's like an urban myth.
yeah, I don't know. I would imagine that the idea of a hanging beehive like that is such a prevalent idea. It must have come from somewhere. So it must have an origin. There must be an actual beehive that looks like that somewhere in the world. I don't know. Anyway, we're rambling a little too much
Yeah,
here, I think.
we're kind of picking holes in a lot of the stuff in this episode. We're picking a lot of unnecessary holes in
Well,
this one.
you are. You're the one bringing all this stuff up.
Well, this is what I wrote in my notes. I mean, I like the episode, but you always you just come up with things to make fun because it is, like I said, it is a kids show.
I know.
It
It's just half
keeps
the
you
fun.
sane to try to like think about these questions.
Yeah, well, sane is relative.
But yeah, I mean, so in the end, she finds out that she can't do anything, and things aren't working out right because none of the groups are cooperating. None of them are following their rules. They've been working all day. Rarity has exactly one bird's nest completed.
Yeah, because they have to be perfect.
So Twilight finally realizes why she's here. She's here to organize everybody because that's established to be her talent. She can organize everything.
Yeah,
And
she's very anal, so she's good at organizing
yeah,
things.
so apparently the moral of this story of this episode is if you don't have any specific skills, you can always find a job in management.
Yeah, thank you for stealing my line. I told you that when we were watching this episode,
Yes, yes.
and you've just stolen my line. I was going to make that joke, so thank you very much. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, ultimately everything works out, happy ending, and we get a nice, enjoyable song that will hopefully stay in your head for some time.
I barely even remember it.
Oh, tragic, absolutely tragic.
Well, because I know they did like an orchestral reprieve of it where they were working it during the montage at the end, but since then
Yeah,
we've watched two more shows, so it just kind of
it's a
fell
fair
out.
point.
And I just kind of realized that Spike is basically her secretary.
He's kind of her assistant, helper, friend
Well,
type
like the fact that
person.
he's literally taking dictation from her is like, yeah, that's a secretary thing.
That's just what he does.
And it's like he's her correspondence with Celestia. So
Mm.
yeah, he's her secretary.
Yes, well, you can have male secretaries. Don't be so sexist.
Of course. Well,
Anyway, on to
when
the
you have a
next
show
episode.
that's like predominantly a female cast,
Yeah, it is.
I can
It's
count maybe
almost exclusively
three,
female.
four male characters I've seen on the show. Recurring
Yeah,
male characters.
yeah. I mean, Big Macintosh is probably the main one,
Well,
aside from
Spike is
Spike, of
obviously
course.
even more than Mac, but
Yeah, and I'm talking ponies
yeah,
here.
ponies.
Yeah. Anyway, next episode.
Well, moving on to episode called the Cutie, which I like this episode more than the previous one, but mostly for selfish reasons. Because I know you liked episode 11, but I really liked episode 12 because they actually got into something that I was personally curious about: the origin
The
of the
cutie
cutie
marks.
marks,
Yeah, how they work.
how they work, where they come from, where they get these names and terms.
I
Because
have I have heard rumors because season 5 hasn't actually aired yet, but it's going to be airing next Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. But
as
I
of
have heard,
recording this, so
yeah, as we're
once
recording
this
this,
actually comes out, it'll probably have been out for
yeah,
about a month or
I've
so.
heard rumors, write-ups and stuff that they are apparently going into even more detail about cutie marks, where they come from, and how they work and stuff in season 5. So I'm kind of curious as to see what they're actually going to tell us that they haven't already told us in previous episodes. Because obviously this Call of the Cuties isn't the only episode that focuses on cutie marks. In fact, any episode with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, as formed at the end of the episode, slight spoilers, any episode with them in it tends to revolve around cutie marks on some level.
So this is like probably like the first episode that establishes something somewhat major that will be a recurring occurrence in subsequent episodes
Yeah,
with the Cutie Mark Crusaders.
the Cutie Mark Crusaders. They will show up on a semi-regular basis to at first annoy you and then ultimately win you over.
Right.
I can promise you that much. Because seriously, in the first season, the Cute Mark Crusaders are kind of annoying. In the second season, they're just sort of there. But by the time the third season roll around, I'll admit I kind of sort of
I
they're
had
okay
no
now.
problem with Apple Bloom as a character. The one that really annoyed me was Twist.
That's because she spoke funny.
Well, of course, yeah, obviously, but first I didn't even know if she was a girl at first.
Well, the voice was rather androgynous.
Yeah, and
So
even her design, it was very like curly red hair, very It's Pat style androgyny.
the best way to tell if a pony is male or female just by glancing is the eyelashes.
Right.
Because obviously the females have the eyelashes, males tend not to.
But yes, this episode was all about branding, basically. in
Well,
in more
yeah.
ways than one, actually. And so obviously this is the thing about the cutie marks, and like I said, I've been interested in it, and I even have friends that were working on a My Little Pony tabletop RPG, like tabletop pen and paper RPG.
Mm,
And the one thing that they were stuck on was how exactly to integrate cutie marks into character creation,
right.
because that's a major part of it. So it's also a major part of the whole My Little Pony brand. It's
Mm,
like these pastel colored ponies that are very stylized, but they have this mark on them that is indicative of whatever they are best at, which is just it goes back to Hasbro branding. This is very much a meta concept within the world. It's just something that they take for granted that this is just how the world works. But
mm,
I do really like branding in that sense, where stuff just exists and that's just how it works. But it makes sense within that context of whatever it is. I mean, they did this branding a lot with other properties like this, but it's much more prevalent in My Little Pony than it was with like Transformers, because they still had the
mm,
branding in there. They had the Autobots versus the Decepticons, and they even did stuff like the Battle Beasts, which was also Hasbro, which was sort of a hybrid where you could find out their elemental abilities by the symbol on their chest,
mm.
and you had to like place your thumb against it because it was thermal activated.
Of course.
And I'm sure there were some ponies that were like thermal activated for changing color and stuff, like the
Maybe like
toys.
once upon a time.
Yeah, like back in
You
Gen
don't
1.
find that much thermal active stuff these days. It's kind of it had its peak in like the 80s and early
Yes,
90s, and now
definitely,
it's
definitely
it
80s. So this is just kind of a resurgence, but the cutie mark is something that goes back to the very beginning. So it's just it's something very iconic for the series. A lot of people just kind of take it for granted. But I
ponies
mean,
have
again,
cutie
I
marks.
like I like iconography. I like logos. I'm very much about that kind of thing, which is why this episode was really interesting to me, because I'm
Mm,
just a big fan of, like I said, iconography.
yeah, of course.
Getting into the actual plot of the episode, now that we rambled long enough.
Well, you
Uh,
have at least.
well, Apple Bloom is very disappointed because she's the only one of two people in her class that doesn't have her cutie mark yet. And the first thing that's come to mind is that isn't she supposed to be like 6?
Their ages aren't really
Yeah,
stated.
it's very nebulous in that sense. You just know this. Well, of course, even with horses, like by the time they're like 2 years old, they're sexually mature. So whatever.
Well, yeah, I think we're using human years in this sense.
Yeah.
Don't think like animals, think like people. Because I'm pretty sure that Twilight and the other main six, they're supposed to be in their mid-teens, I think, or their early teens. I can't remember exactly what it is. There was a sort of a write-up and a theory, and I think that the young kids, they're supposed to be like in preschool or early or
Yeah. So of course they're
the
in preschool and they're
kindergarten.
basically having a career day crisis where they have to figure out what they want to do with their life when they're still learning about colors.
Well, it's not so much that they need to work out what they're going to do with their life. It's just that the idea is that all the ponies are born with a special talent that will dictate what they're going to do with their lives, and that in a way it almost comes down to kind of like they're born with it. It's genetic. So it's like, if in our world, say, if they were able to completely read the genetic code, they could say, okay, well, he has the genetic propensity to be a great piano player, so we're going to teach him to play the piano.
It's like Gattaca for ponies.
I don't know what that is.
A cock.
You know me, I'm incredibly not knowledgeable about other things.
Gattaca, it's a classic sci-fi series where they can read anybody's genetic code. So if they're not genetically predisposed to being in a particular career, they're not allowed to pursue it.
Which is what I just said.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's kind of how the cutie mark thing works. It's a bit like that. Only, obviously the idea is that
we
it's
just we
something.
just we just managed to compare My Little Pony to Gattaca. We got to get a bit of respect out of that.
I'll have to take your word for it. We'll find out when this episode goes online, I guess. I think it works a bit like that. They have a natural talent. It's something that they would probably enjoy, I would imagine. It's not just something they have a talent for and then they're forced into it. It's also something they'll get enjoyment out of. And
Right.
that sort of dictates what their cutie mark is. And their name, if they're a pony that's already been created.
Which you say they're gonna get into that. That's going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
at the end of season 2, as I said, a character comes in who I can't has a name that fits their job and their cutie mark, but I can't imagine if they would name that by their Look, we'll get into that when we get into that, okay? There's
Right.
a lot of stuff that I know about and you don't, and we're gonna have to wait because it's massive spoilers.
So
Anyway, that's
yeah,
episode.
she's on this like self-fulfilling spiritual journey to find out to make her cutie mark appear because she wants to go to her friend's cute Cinera, which is a word that you didn't understand.
Well, I kind of figured it was a play on a word, but I never heard the word
Yeah.
because you said it's very much a
Yes,
Southwest
very south.
American.
Well, it's Spanish, right? It really. It's the term for quinceañera, which is a sweet 16 or 15 in this case. So that it's a play on that. It's a quinceañera to just be happy. Like, hey, she got her cutie mark. Let's have a party. I've heard
Yeah,
of
well,
dumber reasons to have a party.
any excuse to have a party,
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Let's be honest, it's not a bad way to live your life. Hey, someone just,
Someone moved into town. Let's have a party.
yeah, exactly.
It's the first day of spring. Let's have a party. We burned
Yeah,
the muffins. Have a party.
exactly. I mean, he sneezed. Let's have a party. Now that'd probably be taking it a bit too far, but
He got over his cold. Let's have a party.
yeah, that's always worth celebrating.
Like I said, she's trying to find out what her purpose is in life at the age of 6.
6 or whatever the hell old she is.
And obviously, the point of this episode that they're trying to get home is don't rush to find out what your purpose is in life. Don't rush to find out what you want to do when you're still young. You have to
Mm,
experiment and find out what you're best at.
yeah,
Which I guess is a good way to is a good lesson for kids like this because it is something that is very common in kids shows, but I mean this had a very unique take on it because that is basically one of their biggest, like I said, it's very iconic for the series
mm,
that they just have this mark on them that indicates what they're doing. So I honestly, it kind of goes within the themes of the entire franchise to just kind of push this idea that
mm.
they're good at stuff, but they don't necessarily know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that that they have the cutie marks, and they're not just leaving it. They are trying to say, well, this is why we have cutie marks. This is how it works. They're not just saying, oh, ponies have cutie marks. Why?
So yeah,
Oh, because.
So yeah, I just thought the writing was really clever in that sense, where they take this thing that's been established within the franchise and they actually put this really intelligent and very thematic and a good lesson forward for the kids. So I thought this was a really solid episode in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why the show is praised. It's good writing. I know it's sort of. I mean, we're starting to get into that point of the series where.
They kind of hit their stride.
Well, it's not so much where they hit their stride, but it's where like the first, because obviously they don't create all the episodes and then put them out after they're all done. They kind of create them in a sort of rolling process as the first episodes are going out.
Right.
So it's kind of this point in the series was where the creators were starting to get feedback from the fans. And of course, but by this point, I think several of the episodes probably would have already been aired, or at least the first ones. So the fandom was starting to grow at this point. Not just in the girl sense, but also with the the bronies and the other groups that have come up from that. And so as the series will start to progress from sort of this point onwards, you'll start to see sort of little nods to the fandom, like Derpy Hooves will start
Or
showing
didn't
up.
you point out that Doctor Hooves was in this episode?
Doctor Hooves is in these episodes. Yeah, it's a brown pony with an hourglass cutie mark and with a hairstyle that looks a bit like David Tennant, who was the Doctor at the time. He's mostly I didn't actually remember that he had a speaking role. He was largely a background character.
If he had an accent, it would have been even more obvious. But
yeah, well. The thing is, I think, they sort of moved him into the background then, and people then realized it was Doctor Hooves as such. Because when Matt Smith took over the role as the Doctor, they also changed it.
Really?
So it's a different.
So he went through
pony with a
regeneration as well.
Technically, yeah. I think there's a scene where you see 3 of them at once, because you got David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi.
They have a Peter Capaldi pony?
I can't remember if I'm like imagining this or if it was a dream or something,
or if it was a fan
art picture, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it might even have been in one of the comics in the background. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they did a Peter Capaldi one. Jeez. Somewhere.
Peter Capone.
Yeah, Peter Capone. Oh god. But I can't remember, although I have heard rumors that for the 100th episode special, obviously, because big deal for a series like this to reach 100 episodes, they are going to have an episode that focuses largely on background characters like Doctor being Doctor Who's and stuff, and what happens to the background characters when the main characters are having their adventure. A bit like that 22 Short Stories of Springfield
Right.
episode, which is a good episode of The Simpsons. So I'm hoping that the 100th episode will be quite good fun. So anyway, yeah, those are the two Pony episodes, and God Almighty, we have rambled quite a lot today. Which I suppose is the point. We're supposed
Yeah,
to
we're
ramble.
just kind of shooting this shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we move on? Any summary stuff or?
Um no, I liked both of the episodes pretty well. Nothing much else to say.
Okay, then Breaking Bad. Yeah, on to episode 6 of Breaking Bad. Crazy Handful of Nothing.
Which is a term that comes up in the episode.
Yes, yes. At one point they're playing poker. Walter is bluffing, and Hank doesn't realize this. He says, "If you got a handful of nothing," and yeah. Anyway, I did sort of make a note of that, but I thought, well, it's not a very massive scene. We'll work on this anyway. So at the end of the last episode, of course, Walter went back to Jesse with these massive hospital bills from his chemotherapy. He needs a lot of money, so he's gone back to cook meth. And so he goes back to Jesse, and he's out cooking. And at the beginning of the episode, sort of before the intro sequence starts up, it has scenes of him cooking mixed in with scenes of some kind of disaster or some sort of incident. And in the incident scene, it has Walter Bold carrying a bag with blood on it. So off to a good start.
Yeah, very much. What the
They
hell
do
is
this
this
quite a
leading up
lot,
to?
actually.
It's something that the show does quite a bit. Yeah.
They show you where the episode is going to end, and then you have to work out how the hell they got there.
Yeah, and they did that in the first episode with the pants.
Yeah, that was quite funny. Anyway, yeah, so sort of throughout the episode, Walter is getting chemotherapy treatments at various points throughout the episode. And of course, he's paying for them, and of course, he's writing huge checks,
Yeah, huge
vast sums of money.
Bloody checks for taking out so much out of his bank account, which he's supposed to be getting money from his friend, but he turned that down, so he's kind of in his own
friend Elliot.
here.
In the last episode, we mentioned that Elliot offered him a job, and he told everyone that he accepted it or that Elliot was going to help. But in reality, he turned it down because obviously he doesn't want to accept help from other people. So obviously, the chemotherapy is presumably doing its job, or at least it's doing something to him, because it's making him very sick, and he's having to sort of leave class every once in a while to go throw up.
Yeah,
so,
you can tell he's kind of falling apart at this point. It's not good. I mean, chemotherapy is never a good thing.
No, chemotherapy is not very good at all. Of course, he's also going through a kind of group therapy thing for people who have to go through this and their families. And of course, well, Walter's wife Skylar and his son Walter Jr., which I still fucking hate. I'm not going to get over that. I'm not getting over that.
maybe soon you will.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. But obviously they're wondering where he's going during the times he's off cooking meth with Jesse.
And you can't just obviously say, "Oh, I'm off cooking meth."
Yeah, so he says that he just needs some alone time, that he just goes out walking and just trying to enjoy that kind of loneliness. So anyway, that scene doesn't really go anywhere. That's just like acknowledging the fact that the wife has noticed.
Yeah, it's just adding a little bit more drama to it, but it's not really
it's not a big scene. It doesn't really go anywhere massively, at least not yet anyway. Maybe it will in the future. Jesse also finally finds out that Walter has cancer. He's last to find out about anything, it would seem.
Well, he never really thought it was necessary to tell him.
Yeah, because they're cooking meth. That's about all it comes down to. So Jesse finds out when he notices the marks on Walter's chest from the chemotherapy, and he turns out he actually knows quite a bit about lung cancer because his aunt had it?
He said his aunt.
His aunt had it, and it took her very quickly. So he actually, see, this is the thing about Jesse. Jesse does seem to have a hell of a lot of knowledge if he wasn't just such a dope head. Literally, the guy is just, he has that knowledge and he's not applying it, which was brought up in the last episode, wasn't it, when you saw the old F failed paper.
Yeah.
From Walter, you need to apply yourself. So I imagine that's probably going to be some sort of character arc. Jesse maybe growing up and changing over the times, or maybe not. Maybe he'll stay a dope for the rest of the series. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, so we will find out.
Of course, Walter is cooking and Jesse is selling, or at least trying to sell, but he's not selling very
He's not
much.
selling enough. He's selling
He's selling
16ths of an
tiny
ounce.
little, yeah, he's selling tiny little bags to individual people. And Walter's like, this isn't enough. My hospital bills are very expensive. I need more money. We need to go to a big time dealer. And there's only, unfortunately, Jesse only knew one, and he's dead because Walt killed him.
Yes, he killed both of them.
So eventually, Jesse, he sort of says, well, this guy, I can't for the life of me remember what the hell his name was.
Tuco.
Tuco, that's it. I almost said Toucan. I was like, no, that's not quite right.
Toucan Sam.
Toucan Sam. Oh, you never know.
Just follow your nose.
Yeah, Tuco kind of took the place of Crazy 8 when Crazy 8 vanished mysteriously. Jesse eventually manages to find a way to see this guy via an old friend of his who happened to know Tuco. He goes to see him, and Tuco is a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because he just wants the meth and says, I'll pay you later. I'm not that fucking stupid.
Yeah, never trust a drug dealer who says that.
Well, yeah. So Jesse says, well, that's not going to work. You have to pay me up front. So Tuco beats the living shit out of him and actually puts him in hospital. Quite badly, actually, from the look of it. So Walter then pretty much... Walter's health was deteriorating throughout the episode, and he finally decided to shave his head off when he saw just how much of his hair was coming out. So, as I said, he's got his badass look on now.
And I noticed that this is him trying to take control of whatever he can.
Yeah, it's like,
he wants to lose his hair on his own terms. He's
Yeah.
like, he didn't want that to be something out of his control. It's like, no, I'll lose it now. Let's just bye.
Yep.
He's taking control.
Yeah, which I can understand, because you don't want to look half bald. That's not a good look. Walter goes to... I almost said Toucan again then. What the hell was it?
Tuco.
Tuco, that's it.
Yeah, Walter goes up to Tuco basically to get revenge for putting Jesse in the hospital.
Yeah, he put Jesse in the hospital, so Walter sort of wants revenge, but he also wants the money. He doesn't want to kill Tuco. He'd like to be able to do business with him. So what he does is he creates, what was it, mercury something or other. He basically creates what?
Fulminated mercury.
That's it, fulminating mercury. I knew it was mercury something or other because he was talking about it in a previous scene at school, ironically enough. It's all connected.
Yes, it's all connected. It's all about change.
So he takes this tiny little crystal of this mercury stuff, throws it on the floor, and it creates this gigantic fucking explosion, which, is completely unrealistic, but still quite impressive.
And not only that, he manages to survive pretty okay.
Yeah, he manages to survive pretty okay, despite being right next to this seemingly gigantic explosion. So Tuco kind of respects him for that somehow. You tried to kill me. I respect you for that. It's like,
you have balls. I like balls.
Yes, apparently. So Walter manages to get $50,000 off him, which is quite impressive. I was almost expecting Tuco to pull the same thing he did with Jesse, but I think he was probably right not to, because Walter was holding a bag of this explosive.
Yeah.
And was prepared to just throw the lot on the floor. So yeah, that was quite good. Walter comes away with 50 G's, which is all good. Oh, and yeah, almost forgot. During this episode, Walter's brother-in-law is continuing his investigations into the gas mask that was left way back in the first episode. He finds that it comes from the lab in Walter's school. So he goes to investigate and notices a whole bunch of stuff missing. Obviously, he doesn't suspect Walter of anything.
Yeah, obviously.
Walter's
way too straight-laced to be this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And he can't even bluff at poker. How do you expect?
Yeah, apparently he can't bluff at poker, except when he can bluff at poker. Yeah, but that's another scene altogether. But eventually that leads to this janitor getting arrested. And the janitor was quite friendly to Walt throughout the whole episode. So it's all sad and it's all tragic that, innocent people are getting mixed up in Walter's dealings, and oh dear, oh dear. But I mean, Walter doesn't really do anything about it, so he can't be that broken
Well,
up
he
about
can't
it.
really do anything about it. He can't say he's not the one that stole it. I am.
Yeah, I know. But, judging by the way he reacted at the very end of the episode, he kind of gets in the car with the money after leaving Tuco alone, and he just kind of beats the steering wheel up for a couple of minutes. Clearly just sort of letting out some of his frustrations about everything that's gone on in the last couple of days. I mean, considering he was hoping for a nice, simple time of it, he's not really having a lot of luck.
And he did kind of say he's done with the bloodshed right
Yeah,
before he
exactly.
blows up this entire guy's.
Yeah, oh yeah, at the beginning of the episode, he says, I'll do the cooking, you do the dealing, and no one else has to get hurt. Yeah, that's
But I
not
mean,
going to
it is the
happen.
fact he would have been fine if he wasn't pushing Jesse to sell more.
Mm.
It would have been fine because he would have been getting. I mean, $2,600 in one day is pretty damn good.
Yeah, but his hospital bills are a little more expensive than that. So unfortunately, he can't just have Jesse doing small time deals, and he needed the big deal, of course, with Tuco, who I'm going to start calling him Toucan. I know I am in a minute. Um, so yeah, that's the episode. Again, the story's moving on. We've only got one episode left of the first season, so it'll be interesting to see how it ends.
Because she left out the one kind of important plot point is what Walter ends up introducing himself as,
Oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't give Tuco his real name. He calls it.
which
What
is
does he call?
probably a smart idea.
Well, yeah, I kind of when he did that, I was like, yeah, okay, you're doing the right thing there. What does he call himself?
He calls himself Heisenberg.
Heisenberg. Does that come back or something?
Oh yes.
Oh, it does it? I see. I didn't mention it because I assumed it was just, oh, he calls himself Heisenberg. Oh, okay. I'm assuming that becomes his drug dealer name
Yeah,
or something. And
that's basically his drug dealer alias.
fair enough. Well, that's good. That's good to know. At least he's smart enough to not be using his name now, because when Jesse's friend, who presumably took him to the hospital after he got beaten up, Walter doesn't tell him his name then. So, yeah, he's learning. He is learning slowly but surely. He'll be a big boy before you know it.
So thoughts on this episode? Thoughts on where you expect it's going to go?
Well, presumably Tuco is going to become something of a recurring character. Assuming Walter decides to go and deal with him again, which he may not. I haven't decided yet. As I said, the Tuco is clearly a bit of a psychopath. One of the, maybe I don't know, maybe they will find a dealer who's, a reasonably sane, rational human being, but somehow I doubt it. Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, true. You got to have crazy characters. You got to.
Oh,
That what
yeah.
makes these shows so fun.
Of course, of course. So yeah, it's a very fun episode. Again, it has moved the story on quite a bit on some levels. So interesting to see what happens for the last episode of the first season. Because if memory serves, you said that this episode or the next episode will kind of wraps things up for the first season quite well.
Yeah, because
And then
when you're writing for TV, you kind of have to try to compartmentalize your seasons pretty well.
yeah, Ponies does that as well. But I mean, Pony's very episodic anyway, so it's not like one episode leading into the next, leading to the next. Each episode is kind of singular and separate, so that's not
Right.
really a problem. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see where everything ends. Yes, very very good, very enjoyable. I am enjoying the series so far, I'll admit.
So I guess that does it for Breaking Ponies this
Yes.
week. Please leave comments, leave what you think, leave if you're watching either show for the first time, leave your thoughts on the episodes, or even if you're aficionados and you watched it a lot, tell us what you thought of what we thought.
Yes, feedback is important for this stuff.
So,
Anyway,
everybody,
take
thank
care,
you,
everyone.
and take care, and we will see you folks next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.